Italian?
Sì, siamo italiani.
How do you know that?
Beautiful accent.
Oh, thank
You teach me Italian, I'll pay you.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's
I'm gonna
begin.
get your card.
Okay.
So there are two kind of people, those who are Italian and those who wish they were Italian.
There you go.
We hear you, but everything will come.
If we cover the old,
No,
she's from northern from south.
So I'm saying that before, everything out there, food, music.
You guys have a card?
Yeah, of course. Where from?
From the beyond. So what about the Italian?
All my friends are Italian.
Man, I wanted to be born Italian.
As I was saying to them,
Culture.
But you two guys, come on.
You do.
I mean, my best
Yeah.
friends from here too.
not if you're born in Iran, you don't want to be Italian.
Oh my God, no, I know, but this culture, the clothing, the
I'm
food.
saying that they got everything. The automobile,
There's some from
the
Tuscany.
culture.
Yeah. Some Marzano tomato.
You know,
Check la pasta di
they had so.
Food is the best.
No,
Asian food is the best.
That's why there's a lot of pasta of all the Iranians.
Yeah,
it's true.
Asian
Yeah,
food is.
what?
Yeah, I'm going to send it to you.
Send it to me.
It's not with us here.
Persian food, I will- you go to-
Yeah,
Take
yeah.
it to Iran, you take it to Italy.
What about that? Let's do it. Let's do it.
Asian food in Santa Monica.
The Italians are lucky, man.
Yeah,
They have the best country, best.
they got everything.
The best brand,
They have-
Ferragamo,
Thank you.
number one.
You know, to Luigi, Sofia Loren, Mastroianni, Federico Fellini. We used to see so many Italian movies there, huh?
Yeah.
So we all here, we got Victoria Jessica, you know. Don't remember those movies in the 60s. Yes, Sofia Loren.
I used to have a cat named Billy.
How are you?
Yeah.
We only need two.
I know, the conversation we're probably having is.
I'll bring the rest of them.
And I want to get that door open. Sorry, guys, we'll start in 2 seconds. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Tuesday. All right, let's start.
And when?
It's called better than that.
That is
There you go.
funny.
Good. All right, happy Tuesday. Glad to have everyone here. Great people on Zoom. Got a great group of people here and great featured guests that will be up toward the end. And let's rock and roll. We're now, wow, we're into November. We're into the fourth quarter. So, you know, there's definitely a tendency for us to take our feet off the gas pedals, our foot off the pedal. And I hope that's not going to be the case. And I'm going to talk a little bit more in a moment about the contest that we're running that I think some people are aware of and some are not. So we're going to do a better job at creating more awareness and marketing that. And hopefully that's going to spur a lot of activity and healthy competition. So again, just want to continue to raise the bar. We've had an extremely successful year thus far, but I don't want to take our foot off the pedal and want to continue with that momentum. So with that said, let's jump into one of my favorite things. Amber, yes, if you can maximize that, great, thank you. So focus, I wrote about it over the weekend. We talked quite a bit about it at our power session on Monday, which was just yesterday, feels like a week ago. And I think focus is absolutely essential for success and achievement. And I'll say personally, anyone who's been around me knows like how focused I am. And I think, again, it is a catalyst to achievement. Okay, the next slide. You know, it really is that is the definition that I like the best. Is focus is the ability to place attention where you want, how you want, and for how long you want, right? Your attention is what gets things accomplished, right? And our attention is often fractured and spread in many different directions, but when we can focus and intensify that attention, then it's amazing how powerful we all can be, and every single one of us, right? And that one of the bold laws is what you focus on expands, and I'm a huge believer in that. I'm a big believer that you can accomplish anything you are committed to with extreme focus. And one of my favorite statements is you find what you're looking for. You can find the problem, you can find the solution, you can find the good in people, you can find the bad, and it all comes back to where is your focus, right? You choose, all a decision, personal responsibility, guys. There's tremendous leverage and efficiency per all the things I said and much more with focus, right? It creates movement, it creates results, and it gives you just a much greater return on your effort, right? There is no such thing as multitasking, right? You're diverting your energy from you're shifting your energy and your attention from one thing to the next and back and forth. And there's a lot of inefficiency associated with that, right? Which gets into like time blocking. So you're focused on one thing at a time, right? We often say we're great multitaskers. And yeah, there's some people are able to shift their focus from one thing to the other a little bit more effectively than others, but there is no such thing as multitasking, right? You're just bouncing back and forth, yes, right? Okay, next slide. It all starts with having a purpose, being really clear on that purpose, and then having a plan, right? Such that you can execute that plan, and that creates tremendous focus. Without, you can have a big, audacious, great goal and dream. If you don't have a plan, then you're not going to be nearly as focused on what matters most, the actions, the activities that you can control that are going to bring that plan to reality, right? Execution, right? Focus allows you to execute a lot more effectively, right? Having a compelling scoreboard, per what I even just talked about a moment ago, about this contest we're going to have. We don't have a scoreboard, right? That contest doesn't mean a whole lot without a scoreboard, right? It's like if you were to watch, you know, a soccer game, a baseball game, whatever, and there was no scoreboard, people would be lost, right? You wouldn't know what the score is. You wouldn't know where you stand relative to your competition. You don't know how much time is left in the game, right? With the scoreboard, it creates great clarity and great focus and allows you to be a lot more effective, right? Having measurable goals, constant feedbacks creates urgency, creates flow, creates momentum. Any comments or thoughts on that, guys? Justin, give us some feedback. Jacobson.
On focus or?
Yeah, on focus, scoreboards, any of this stuff.
Yeah, focus is important, people. Okay, we can all agree on that. Yeah, I mean, it really starts with how we wake up in the morning. Right? There's always a choice we make when we wake up in the morning, and you know, we can either take what happened to us yesterday and carry that in, or decide whatever happened yesterday, it's in the past. And so for me, and I think a lot of people that are purposeful and successful, they attack each day with a plan. And it starts with health and having the right breakfast and making sure you have a plan in place before that day actually comes. You know, have your schedule worked out a week before. And I think that creates a lot of focus, because it takes a lot of mental energy if you don't have that plan. And so a lot of those brain cells are wasted when they don't need to be. That's just that.
Yeah, love it. Anyone else with any, Michael?
I was gonna say, this business, you could be pulled in so many different directions. So, you know, with buyers, a lot of times you don't have the choice where your buyer wants to look for a property. You know, hopefully it's not some far off city, but for farming your own neighborhood or farming an area, you could focus on that. And I think, you know, for me, that worked well. When I decided to farm my own neighborhood, it was a manageable amount. I could focus in on creating, you know, relationships with people in that neighborhood as opposed to just spreading myself thin in other neighborhoods or doing something. So focusing on that. And even new buyers going out looking at open houses, you know, make sure you know what you're going to look at. Just don't go to anything, you know, that's open, you see it open outside, because, you know, it might not be the right thing for, you know, clients you're looking for, or, you know, it'll just take you off your path. So.
Love it. Robert, anything, I know you talked.
What's great on having a plan and having a purpose, those days where you might not feel like moving forward, you know you already have allocated some time and a plan. So if you block out time for regenerating, then you should be doing regenerating. And then once you're in action, the motions will follow. So it shouldn't be, I feel good today, I'm gonna hit it. Next day you don't feel good, well, I'm not gonna hit it. It should be, here's my plan, I'm gonna stick to the plan, and we're gonna start flying either way.
Yep.
And it's simple, but it's getting that mindset to stay in action.
I find so many people just in life and they're all over the place, right? And they're not focused, right? Focus intensifies your energy. And it's amazing that intensity, how much further that goes in terms of what you can accomplish. And the obstacles you're inevitably gonna, you know, confront, how much focus that energy will just topple over those obstacles. When it's diffused, then you just don't have nearly the level of power, and you can't generate the inertia and the momentum to get through challenges and ultimately create achievement. So, and it's like I always say, being a jack of all trades is a recipe for mediocrity, right? Understand your unique superpower and just go in and fortify and focus on that and earn the right to delegate the other things that you don't enjoy doing or maybe not as good at, but that are nevertheless important. And that's when people who achieve at the highest levels, they are extremely focused. They know what they do really well, and they don't pay attention to anything else, right? Make your strengths so strong that your weaknesses become irrelevant, right? So I think that gets back to focus and being really, really purposeful with what you do and not diffusing your time and energy and attention.
That's kind of like the Marines. Eyes focused.
You can apply to so many things. It's any top performance in anything. It's hyper focused. Lauren.
Well, the ancient Chinese proverb, you chase two rabbits, you catch neither. So decide what you're focusing on, decide which rabbit, and then just relentlessly go.
Yep. Love that. All right, last slide, Amber, please. And I'm a huge believer in they go hand in hand with discipline, right? To delay gratification, play the long game if you want to be extraordinary at anything, right? Don't just like, so many people are like, what's in it for me this moment? If I don't see the immediate result and I don't feel like I can see immediate return on my effort, then I'm not going to do it, right? Understand that it does, discipline goes hand in hand with focus and the ability to understand delayed gratification, a huge factor in achievement as well, right? Having the willpower and the self-awareness to avoid distractions and having the foresight to actually see your vision and understand that what you do now will not have, you will not see the results of that oftentimes for a day, a week, a year, 2 years, perhaps everything's a little bit different. Having that gives you the level of focus to stay in that moment, in that activity then, and understand the implications of it later, right? With clarity and foresight on the big picture, you stay focused and you stay the course. Again, you don't get fractured, you don't get distracted. Sacrifices now, you know, the sacrifices now lead to the great things later. And again, that's where I think so many people miss that, and especially in our business. Hey, you know, I made 100 phone calls this week and I did it for the last 4 weeks and I don't have any listings, right? Well, it's going to take a little bit longer than that, right? You know, so again, understanding that what you do now has consequences in the future, and speak to other people to understand what that delay is going to look like, because it's unique to everything, right? But speak to people, and that's why you want to model success. Speak to people that have a proven track record of success in what you're aspiring to do, and understand how long that delayed gratification should be, right? So you have a frame of reference on what, because people always ask me, how long should I do this till and if I don't see results, then when do I change? Well, it's unique to every single thing, right? But there are certain benchmarks for whether it's door knocking, cold calling in our business. It's unique for each one of those things. And it also depends on the context, what neighborhood, what kind of price points. These are all the context of the situation, but nevertheless, the whole ultimate point is that you're not going to see results till some point in the future. Any other thoughts and comments and questions?
Well, I'm thinking of Angela Duckworth with the grid. 2/3 of it's your effort, 1/3 is your intelligence and your plan and how you're gonna do it. So if you're out there with tremendous grit, the odds are you're gonna be successful. So in other words, if you're failing, get back up. If you fall, get back up. If you're at an appointment, and you don't get it, they can point you to go back and get it.
Yep. Staying, it also goes hand in hand with just managing your own expectations, right? Understand that obstacles are inevitable, understand that what you do now has consequences in the future. When you understand these concepts, it allows you to stay more focused on what you should do and executing your plan. All right, good stuff. Hopefully that was helpful. All right, Amber, we're next. We'll hold that for a moment and we'll go to Michael.
Okay.
Anything to, yeah. For most of you guys know Michael, our broker of record, obviously a huge asset to our office and on many different levels and always adds tremendous value. So thank you.
So I don't know everything. I know that may be surprising to a lot. So when I don't know something, the car, everyone's a member of CAR here. The legal hotline is really good. They've got answers. They've got attorneys on call that are there to answer questions. So, you know, if you need something answered quickly, call the hotline. I can send you the numbers. You just Google it. It's the CAR legal hotline comes up. Agents, you know, have questions all the time that they're happy to answer. And anything that has to deal with landlord-tenant issues, they know specifically for local rules. So City of Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, different cities, it's best to call them because they're familiar. You know, if you want to know if you can, you know, the tenant can get evicted about something, call that. Because typically, if you ask our attorney's answer is going to be have your client speak to their own attorney. So the CAR attorney will, you know, give you an answer that you could at least, you know, go back to your clients with or have an understanding. Another thing that came up was an agent wanted to know if you can advertise another broker, another agent's listing on social media. So
And I get asked that a lot too.
so somebody, you know, the agency has got a new fabulous listing. Could you advertise it, you know, send emails out or advertise it? And the answer is yes, as long as you have the listing agent's name and I think broker, but name and, you know, brokerage basically in the smallest font that everything else is. So it can't be unrecognizable. It's got to be, you know, as small as the smallest font. You could do it. You could send it out in your own public, you know, social media. You could have, you know, say, contact me for, you know, a private showing. And then of course you can, you know, do it.
Do you need their
Wow.
permission?
No, you don't need their
You don't,
permission.
okay.
And that came from CAR because I didn't, you know the answer. I knew you had to, you know, first,
Yeah.
you know, cite the you know,
listing agent,
agent's information, but, you know, they said you don't need permission, so I have that in writing.
So do
That's
you see
amazing.
that all the time?
Do I see it? I mean,
Lately, I've seen.
yeah, I mean, how would you know? Because if an agent is posting something on social media, you think it's their listing, and I think that's the point.
It happens more often. Than
Yeah.
people think.
I pay attention to it. I see it a lot.
Yeah, and then I do, you know, because I follow a Compass agent and, you know, because he has a lot of architectural listings, and if he's got a really cool one, you know, he'll say, you know, courtesy of, or, you know, this is so-and-so's listing. So he makes, you know, a point to cite, you know, whoever's listing it is. So just do that, then you can advertise it. Anything else?
Any other questions?
Any questions, broker related?
When are we gonna do the start of the training for the new RPA?
So, yeah, so next week I am, so Jeff Kahn is not doing training. They're doing a risks management session for,
That's what I meant.
for other brokers and members of another board. Just found out about it today. So I'll sit in and find out what's going on with that, but he's gonna organize something for all Forward Living. And which will be a Zoom call that'll, he'll teach one class. And it should be, I'd say probably sometime in November. Because if it's coming out in December, it's gonna need to happen. Has anyone, you guys all know that the RPA is changing? There's gonna be a new version of it in December. If you haven't seen it, go on and you can look at the draft copy.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, just, search
CAR.
CAR RPA draft. I'll send it out again. I've, sent it out a few times.
They're doing classes too, by the way, Michael, but you have to pay.
Yeah, this one, ours will be free, so.
And one of the things on there that's a subtle change or a blatant change, back the way we had it 15, 20 years ago, that dates me, sorry. I know I'm young. We're gonna put our commission on there. So we're gonna probably give a class or a seminar on how to overcome a buyer now asking for your commission. So just mentally prepare for that. And I've talked to different people, in different areas of the US, and they have a commission on there. It just comes up. There's a 50,000, there's 100,000. I want part of that commission.
Oh, my
So,
God.
Anyway, so it's just being ready for how to respond to a buyer who's asking for part of the commission. It won't be the seller who says much, as it always will be, but the buyers will start.
Yeah, I mean, it's the
Great
same adage, you're not paying for this. This is coming from the seller, for selling his house, there's lots of different things.
Yeah.
It's like, and, I've only got control over 2.5%, 3% of the deal. Let's worry about the rest, the 97% of it that, I'm gonna make you money on, so.
I do have a question, Michael, do you think that would eliminate the need for a single party in case you're doing an offer on a non-exclusive property?
A
I
si-
think you still.
No, still need single party, and that's another thing. If you're bringing somebody to a property that's not on the market, if you are trying to get paid on a deal, where you're not representing a buyer or seller, everything, it's got to be in writing. Use, the referral fee agreements are if you're trying to just get a referral fee, single party, if you're trying to bring a buyer to an off-market listing, even a commission agreement that just says, so-and-so is going to pay you a commission if they, buy this house or sell this house. Anything just in writing, because otherwise, so many times people are just getting screwed out. And I hear it. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks,
All right.
Michael. Appreciate it.
Michael, I have a question about posting somebody else's property on my social media. Do I use just their name or their contact information as well?
I'll mail this out, but let's see what the,
I'm pretty sure it's their name, their brokerage, and their DRE number. But that's what I typically see.
yeah.
Just the name and brokerage.
It's just the name and
brokerage?
brokerage?
Yeah.
Okay,
So name and brokerage.
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Can
Awesome.
you just put like their first and last initials and then the brokerage and call it a day?
Go on, Cindy. I know that voice. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you guys? I have a question. I just dropped off a few letters in my farm, and I had a mother call me because in the letter it says, "Hi, I have a buyer. Can you please call me as soon as possible?" And she called me and said, "How dare you use the phrase as soon as possible?" I thought it was regarding my kids. It doesn't say anything regarding children. It just says, I have a buyer that would like to buy your property. Please call me as soon as possible if you're interested. And she was saying that she was going to call you, Josh, to tell on me.
That's okay.
Or- Okay.
I get a lot of calls.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, what in the world? I was like, so here I am telling on myself.
Say that again.
Say it again, what it said, just, no.
We have a buyer here.
I have a buyer that's interested in your property. Can you please call me as soon as possible? Just because I used the phrase as soon as possible, she thought it was regarding her kids. But I never used her kid. I never mentioned kids in the letter. I just said,
Yeah,
Tell her how much her house is worth.
right. No, it's all good, Cindy.
okay, so I'm not gonna get any fines or anything. All right, good. Thank you.
Lauren, any thoughts on the market? Yeah.
Let me do this real
Yeah,
quick.
yep.
Hello, everybody out there. Hello, guys. So for those that don't know me, Lauren Goldman with First American Title.
market, okay? 5 weeks until the official holiday season. The holiday season starts about Thanksgiving, all right?
It started now.
So, well, yeah, but the official holiday season. So what happens during that holiday season? Supply goes down, demand goes down, days on market go up. So if any buyer or seller is looking to wait or score a deal for somebody or steal something during that holiday season, like Thanksgiving to New Year's, you can just let them know that they are not, especially this year, going to score any type of deal. Prices are still high as they come.
Yeah.
Supply is going to plummet, demand's going to plummet. So sellers, unless your house is priced perfectly, it's probably not going to move until the beginning of the year. If you're overpriced, you're just going to sit. And then if you're looking to score a deal, you're just going to be a little disappointed. It's not going to happen. So everybody needs to be realistic. But if things need to transact, let's get them transacting before the true holiday season starts. Things are going to start to slow down after Thanksgiving. Number 2, real quick. Finally, the recorder's office is open for walk-ins. It's a big deal, especially in my world, because I've been asked to record everything under the sun. All right. And no good deed goes unpunished, pun intended, because you record something and then I'm a big bad title company, so I get sued for recording something as a favor. So now, all you people out there in Zoom land, and please tell your developer clients and everybody else, they can record their own stuff now. You got to go to lavote.net. You got to make an appointment. That's how it works. lavote.net. Drill down to the recorder portion of it. You'll see the different offices and where you can make an appointment. I played with it just the other day. The appointments tend to be like a week in advance, but at least now you can do it. At least the toes in the door, so to speak, for walk-in recordings. One thing also, wire cutoff times, guys. Wires in, wires out money is 2 o'clock, okay? And it's a pretty hard 2 o'clock. So today, if we're gonna close the deal tomorrow, Wednesday, money needed to be into the title company today, the wire had to hit by 2 o'clock, okay? And then conversely, tomorrow, once we close it, because if the money's not in by 2 o'clock today, then the docs will not leave the house tonight to get recorded tomorrow, Wednesday at the county recorder. Tomorrow, Wednesday, should we record this deal? We can't wire out past 2 o'clock, okay? So if we get confirmation at 2:30, 3 o'clock, we can't wire your commissions out. We can't wire the seller his proceeds, his or her proceeds out. So it's just, everything stops at 2 o'clock. So I just want everyone to know that. Hard cutoff time, wires in, wires out at 2. And lastly, and this may be for Michael, I heard that the mayor of LA signed a mandatory show your vax starting November 4th, right? So it's going to be similar to New York, unless they rescind it. It's going to be similar to New York. So restaurants, gyms, all that stuff, no negative test. You have to show that you are vaxxed. And I don't know what that's going to do to open houses that are starting to
Yeah,
percolate.
we'll find out on.
Okay, more to come on that.
Right now, I haven't seen anything. I'm not
All
sure we will.
And if anybody needs property info, data, farms, you name it, everything a big title company under the sun should have, hit me up.
You're awesome. Thanks, man.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah.
what I'm hearing on Lauren is that December, there's gonna be less listings. So if I'm a listing agent, I'm telling my seller, we don't wait till spring, we go ahead and put it on the market
Right now.
now, because there's less supply. And it really is about supply and demand. There was a winter a year or two ago where I had 10 sellers saying, I'm gonna wait till spring. We put 10 on the market in November, December, 9 of the 10 sold. So it should be also understanding, and Lauren let this out, a lot of realtors drop out of the market. Not anyone in this room certainly, but other realtors, other firms will drop out. There's less competition, guys, so clean up, lean in now during the winter months, which are beginning, it feels like winter today, it feels like Thanksgiving and holiday. Lean in now, and you can do a lot of business. You can actually do quite well because there's not as much competition.
And I will say, to back that up, some of the best months I've ever had in my 28 years doing this have been December. Because people just need to cram that closing in before the end of the year tax purposes. And I've walked around offices in December, and there's one person in the office, and she was just cleaning up. And she looked at me, and I'll always remember, she said, I'm having my best year this month. So those that stick around, what you're doing now, Josh will tell you every Monday and Wednesday, what you're doing now is what's going to happen, 90 days from now plus. So if you set the stage now, December could be really, really fantastic.
Love that. I like that. Stick with that.
I love
that
this.
piece. Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right, next slide. So these are the weekly closings, I believe. Amber, are you up? There we go. Again, weekly. So we're keeping some great momentum going there. I'm not gonna go through every name. I'm gonna post, we posted already today and I'll post it myself tonight, but that's just in the last week. So great stuff. Awesome. All right, next slide. So and this will also be posted, top agents, individual agents for September last month. Penny, I see Penny there. Awesome. We're going to recognize Penny in a moment too. Phenomenal, Penny. Sharon, Tim, Davis, Lale, Jennifer Purdue, Anthony and Adriana, husband and wife, Malika, Jonathan Fronin, Christine, and Will. So a lot of great people, a lot of great accomplishments there. And then the next one are top teams for September. So Ben and Zach, Sean and Sabina. I'm not even sure I know who CRG is. I know the names of the people. I meant to ask Veronica that, but I'll come back to that in a minute. MS Property Partners, Greg and Daphne and Howie and everyone else. And then Christina and her group there. So great accomplishment, guys. I don't know what that is. I'm curious. It's driving me crazy. All right, so we have an amazing model and our business model, Keller Williams, on many levels. I won't get into all that detail, but one of the most important ones is that we give you an opportunity to cap and keep 100% of your commission, right? So once you cap for the remainder of your anniversary year, you keep 100% of your commission. And our goal is to get as many of you capping as we possibly can, right? So I want to recognize Penny, who was a #1 agent last month for capping. Amazing. We have, there we go. And then if we can maybe, Michael, maybe we can get you to take our Armand, use your camera or someone's for a quick picture. Yes. Amazing, Penny. You're awesome. Thank you. Great work. You get a quick picture. Amazing. Anything you want to say or? You don't have to, but you're welcome to.
No, I mean, you know what? It's like what? Just trust the process. Keep doing it when you don't want to do it. The thing you don't want to do is probably the thing
I love
you
that.
should do. So, promise yourself something, a walk or something.
Yeah. Or a bottle of
Or a bottle of
water.
water.
There we go. Awesome. Congratulations. Lale capped as well. I don't think Lale's here, but she's amazing. She's consistently caps almost every year. So great work, Lale. Guy, come on up, brother. Yeah. So Guy has been licensed less than a year, maybe way less than a year, I think. How? 3 months. 3 months. All right. Wow. No, great work. Anything you want. I mean, I knew, honestly, I'd be truly sincere. I met him for the first time and I'm like, this guy's going to be amazing. And it's exactly what's happened. So great work, man. Let that be a model for everyone. 3 months,
Wow.
year 1 capped. Okay, that's so it can be done. Believe me. Yeah.
Wow.
Anything you want?
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I should thank my mentor who's not here, Cam. Couldn't have done it without him, and Kristen also. She has the answer to everything. So. And
Yeah.
you for being an inspiration.
I appreciate it, man. And you inspiring us as well, man.
Thank you.
Great job. Thanks, guy. And Tim, who is not here, but also like less than a year with us, way less than a year cap. So phenomenal to Tim. Yeah. Okay, cool. Again, I hope that everyone here caps, and it is what Lale said. What Penny said, excuse me. Oftentimes what you don't want to do, run toward it, guys. It's where the greatest opportunity exists, right? So, fear is usually a sign of something that you don't want to do, but that's going to help propel you forward. So love that. So this is the contest that I alluded to earlier, and we're going to do a much better job at like creating awareness around this. You're already starting to see signs up here, and we're going to create a scoreboard, and I'm going to work on that tomorrow with our marketing team, but it's very, very straightforward, right? We've dividing the office between those that have been licensed 2 years and less and those that have been licensed 2 years and more. Okay, it has no bearing on how long you've been in the office, just how long you've been licensed, right? So it's a function of experience. And you get 1 point for taking a new listing, right? And you get 1 point for putting a deal into escrow, okay? And on leases, it's a half a point. And it's just whoever gets the most points wins the prizes. There's a first, second, and third, up to fifth place. Armand, I keep getting, what first place is, what second place?
First place is, I think, a $500 gift card to Maestro's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Second place is a bottle of Dom Perignon. And third is, was like.
What with the key detect, with the, the Apple key trackers or whatever, it's something better than that. It's called something better than that. But, and then I think we're doing like the millionaire investor for fourth place or whatever, and just some great recognition. So it has already started. It started as of October 1st. So that's where it's going to start. So you can retroactively put stuff in as of October 1st, and it will end November 30th. So we really want to like create some momentum going in, for what Lauren said, into the holidays, and it's some really healthy competition. And let's make it happen. Everyone qualifies, and it's self-reported. There's an email that goes out with a Google spreadsheet every Friday, right, Armand? Yeah. And then we'll verify everything at the end. And it starts as of October 1st. So you can retroactively put stuff in since October 1st.
Is there any points for referrals?
No points for referrals, but maybe the next time we'll consider it. We hope this to be something that will happen periodically. So, and we're refining it. It's our first time. Well, I'm sure we'll stumble and make some mistakes, but the whole point is to create more energy, more competition, and raise the bar for the office as a whole. I know I'm competitive, and I know many of you are, and I hope, so let's make it happen. Cool. Any questions? All right. Awesome. All right. So we've got some amazing special guests. I see a bunch of them here. So I met this gentleman probably just shy, probably 6 months into when I came here. When was 2 years ago? Was it two? Okay, yeah. Maybe a year into when I came here. So from day one, unbelievably humble, very, very bright. Always asked me a ton of really good questions. Was like, just had such a great disposition. Again, humble, smart, purposeful, focused, consistent. And basically had left, and I'll let Mercedes speak for himself in a moment, left the top producer who he had been working with for a few years to, go out on his own. And it was a bold, courageous move, but he also realized that he had enough confidence in himself and belief in himself that he could, accomplish whatever he committed to. And watching his evolution since he joined us a little over 2 years ago, as a leader, as someone who's been a huge contributor, and someone who's become actually, quite frankly, a very close friend. And now he's starting to build his team, has been really, really inspiring. And so Mercedes, come on up here, man. And, I'll let you introduce the rest of the team. And I want to just talk to Mercedes about the evolution of his personal business and now his team's business. So do you want to bring these guys up now?
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. So my business partner is David. Many of you guys know David. Yeah. And then I just open up, right? So Connor, he joined our team recently. Great energy. Very, very, very bright guy. It's Connor. And Ilona is the newest addition to our team. She literally just joined about a week ago or so.
Awesome. And the brain behind the operation.
The backbone really of the whole thing.
Yeah.
She does all the marketing and the paperwork and everything behind the scenes that you're not that good at. So she's really the brains behind the operation here. So,
And I also got the best seats.
That's why she got the best seats.
Yeah.
The server of the computer.
Yeah. So Mercedes, maybe just start off with a little bit of I gave a little bit of your background, how you got into real estate and what just bring us to today and just that evolution.
Okay, so it's really started about, I'm 29 right now, so 8 years ago. I was about to finish up college. I just applied to a random ad on, I think it was Craigslist. And it happened to be an assistant position for a top producing real estate agent here in Beverly Hills. His name is Charles Lee. I'm not sure if you guys know him. Some of you guys do, yeah. He really is, I learned a lot from him. I was on his team as an assistant for about the first couple of years. Then I started running his office. He had a couple other people working in there. And then, eventually the next logical step for me was to leave and start doing my own stuff. But those 5 or 6 years that I spent there were very, very beneficial. I learned a lot, and really that's the foundation of this whole thing. So if you're a newer agent, I think that's really the way to go, is to find somebody who's actually producing, who's bringing in results, and learn from them. Because this is not an easy business. Like, just because somebody passes their exam, it doesn't mean much really. All you know is definition. You don't really know how to put a deal together and what to do. So I think that's really the best way to go about this. And then, fast forward to 2 years ago, I was on the verge of leaving that office, and Josh really called me, and it was the perfect time. And we really hit it off, and I've been here for at least 2 years, right? 2.5 years.
Yeah.
In November.
November, 2 years.
Oh, so less than 2 years.
Yeah, less
Okay,
than 2
wow,
years. then,
okay.
Yeah. So it's been 2 years, and luckily it's been working out great. I can't really complain. I love it here. Environment matters, as Josh said. In all honesty, Josh has a lot to do with the fact that I am here, because I mainly joined the office because of him, because his energy and his leadership, and it really resonates throughout the office. So, thank you.
So now I'll get into the details, but what was the impetus to start to create more leverage and bring people on? Maybe give us, was it by design? Was it a little bit organic? Was it a combination of both? I know David was the beginning, and now.
Well, David, yeah. I mean, I think it was very organic. I'll let David speak to it, but I think it was very organic.
No, I mean, we hit it off really well from the get-go. I mean, it was just a very smooth transition when I was just having conversations with him. I mean, it was just like having a friendship, and what I was working, and I was sitting behind my desk, and I felt struggling. But when I started, working with him, it became kind of like fun. So the fun turned into, positive things for me. At least for me, that worked for me that way. Many people can do it on their own. For me, it felt like I just wanted to have that togetherness, that kind of camaraderie. It helped me grow. So,
And David, tell a little bit about it. You've only been in the business for.
Yeah, I've been in the business for about a year and a half now, almost, not even a year and 2 months.
Yeah.
I come from a big sales background myself. I mean, I was always aggressive with sales. I was in the textile industry. Things went sour over there in my business due to China and so forth and this and that. I decided to move, thanks to Cam, my brother-in-law, Cam Shoham. Oh, you're here. He brought me into Keller Williams, which was, I love him for that. From there on, it was just pretty, smooth, just getting to know my own, warm calling, my own contacts.
So let me point out a couple things for a moment. One of the absolute common denominators of both Mercedes and David is that these guys are unbelievably consistent. They're here in the office or if not out in the field every day, all the time. David was here before he even connected with Mercedes. He was in the office, building relationships, asking questions, making the calls, all the time. This stuff doesn't happen magically. Guys, it's the consistency, it's the curiosity, it's the initiative, it's being proactive. Again, it sounds like the same, but that's where most people miss, quite frankly, and obviously ability to connect and genuinely care. Mercedes reaches out and I know David's the same way, and helps people with no expectation of anything in return. And then things come back to him in spades. It's what I call the definition of leadership. Give with no expectation of anything in return. And the beauty of it is that you get way more back than you could have ever imagined. And that's how he operates. That's how David operates. I know that because I've seen it firsthand. So just know that it's not a zero-sum game. When you give we can all win, and it doesn't mean one person's win is someone else's loss. Actually, everyone can win and elevate one another. So that's also partly why they've really connected. And I think also, and I'll let maybe Mercedes speak about why it worked, because you and I have talked quite a bit about this, like particularly with you and David, like maybe just touch on that relationship and that synergy on why it works so well amongst many reasons, but like David's background and, you know.
Right. But first and foremost, I think David mentioned the fun. I mean, we really are having fun at the office, like
Yeah.
really every day. It's a great environment. And we may not be the first ones in, but we're the last ones to leave. 4 out of 5 nights, I would say, like there's nobody else. Maybe Robert every now and then. But seriously, there's no magic behind it. We just put in the work. That's all we do. That's all there is to it. You put in the work. And I think we complement each other in kind of perfectly. David's sphere is phenomenal. I mean, I don't think I know anybody else who knows that many people. Like we do door knocking, and this is not, we go door knocking. Guaranteed, we're gonna hit the door and they're gonna say, "Hey, David, come on in. We went to high school together. Let's have a cup of coffee." And this has happened like 4 or 5 times. Like really seriously, almost every time.
Almost every time.
So that's obviously a great added back there. And
Which area do you door knock? Beverly Hills?
post office, well, not Beverly Hills.
Oh, so then
Yeah.
so normally when you door knock, the owners are not there, it's the maid or.
Like
owners
you
are
have,
there.
I think you just have to hit enough doors.
Yeah.
You just have to do enough doors and you'll eventually connect it. So that's obviously a huge advantage that he brings to the table.
Yeah.
It really is.
And then Mercedes' ability to, even per what you and I talked about at lunch, I think it's important that, how you're able to like piece together creatively deals. Like
Right.
maybe just talk about that for a second. 'Cause
So-
I think that gets overlooked and not really talked about all that often. And
It does, but it's many times buyers or sellers don't know their options until you present it to them, right? So I have a degree in finance, so I'm pretty good with the loan aspect of things. So if you get a buyer, I'm fairly certain I can get a loan program for him that would work and fit their needs. And they may not even know that program is out there. We just closed the deal a week ago, about a week ago. They had no idea that they could do a bridge loan, cross-polarizing 2 assets, and then just, refinance out of it after a month or so once they sell the primary house. And we got 2 deals out of that, and we were able to close it in 14 days because it was a creative loan program. And I think that has a lot to.
so
to
the
do
big
with it.
takeaway, because we could teach a class on that alone,
Right.
is just be knowledgeable and
Right.
understand options, right? And that's going to create a lot more value for you as you present options to your clients. And a lot of people think that this is not a possibility. Well, believe there's always possibilities if you're creative enough and resourceful enough and knowledgeable enough to connect the dots. And I think that's one thing Mercedes for 29, first of all, I'm around thousands of agents. Like this kid is smart as a whip, and he's got solutions to almost everything. And the attitude is extraordinary. So you put that all together, it's like pretty unbeatable.
I think the key is really that sales is not talking, it is listening. So if you just listen and you ask the right questions, they usually solve their own problems. They just don't know. So you just have to connect the dots at that point. So I don't talk much really. I don't necessarily enjoy being the center of attention. It's not really my thing, but I do listen and I pay attention and I take notes, and that really 9 out of 10 times there's a solution right there. They just don't see it. So, if there is one takeaway, I think sales is really listening and not talking. I really do believe in that. I don't really talk much, even at the appointments. I just listen.
So tell me a little bit about like the lead gen piece and prospecting. And I know, door knocking, cold calling, because you've done quite a bit of all of that. Like, tell us what that looks like for you, what lessons you can take, and what that translates into for your team.
I think either one of them works. Door knocking, cold calling, mailers. Mailers, I think they're a little bit more difficult to do, and probably somebody knows the data better than I do, but I think you have to send like 8 or 10 pieces until they actually remember your name. So that takes time, obviously. I never really done mailers, so I cold calling and door knocking has been the foundation of the business. And it's a numbers game. You have to do it enough and it works. We have clients coming from, cold calling, we have clients coming from door knocking as well. So either one of them works if you stick with it. But you can't.
We kind of worked backwards when it came to the door knocking thing.
Right.
We kind of like went through our sphere and we basically tried to work with the buyers that we had. And we door knocked the areas that the buyers were interested in. So we didn't go in there saying, like BSing about, hey, we have a buyer for you. So we were really legit about the whole thing, and we, we actually.
That's what I was
did
gonna
have
say to
buy-in.
you. One thing, and
You
you
know?
took the word, very, very purposeful with a strategy. So keep
Right.
going. Yeah, like on that. Yep.
So I mean, it felt good when you actually door knock somebody, you actually tell them that you do have a buyer. It's not like you're just saying, you know, oh, I just want to list your house. So it really helped having that confidence of walking in and knocking on the door and say, hey, you know what, we really do have an offer for you.
And that confidence, guys, it makes all the difference when you legitimately have one. I mean, there are some people that can fake it pretty well and it can be effective, don't get me wrong, you know, but when you really have that, it just the way you carry yourself, how you communicate has a whole different level. Absolutely. Yep.
And the conversation changes. You can almost see it in their eyes when you say that, hey, I know you did this a lot, but we actually do have a buyer. If you want, we can come back tomorrow and show the house.
Yeah.
So that changes the entire dynamics of the conversation. Because, you know, everybody door knocks like cold calls. They got a million cold calls, they got a million door knockers every month.
And so talk a little bit about the calling, like what that strategy has been and what, and I'm sure things have evolved, but like, what does that look like, Mercedes?
Well, you know, the typical just listed, just sold calls, meaning if you list something in the neighborhood, we would cold call that particular neighborhood if you just sold something in the neighborhood. But it doesn't only mean that it has to be your listing. I mean, in the beginning, you know, if a new listing hit the market, I called it and said, hey, I called the entire neighborhood and said, hey, a new listing just came on the market. Do you know about it? Would you like to learn more about it? It works in neighborhoods, I think, better where there is higher property values, because for some reason, those owners tend to care more about their property and they look at it as a business. They don't necessarily look at it as just a piece of property that I live in. It's actually a business and they want to use maybe their equity in it to buy something else. So there's a lot of different angles you can do. But for me, I had better luck with higher end neighborhoods. And there's maybe just me, I don't know, but that has been working for me better.
Interesting.
So they genuinely want to see how they can use the equity in that property.
And you say higher end,
Right.
if you had to throw a number, what does that translate into price point?
I don't know, two and a half and above.
Okay.
Right. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
ballparking. I mean, don't
Yeah.
hold me accountable to that. Yeah.
So what are you sharing? And maybe actually, let me shift gears for a minute. With respect to Bjorn, Connor, it's both Connor and Alana, who's very new, but you know, nevertheless, you know, and what drew you to working, you know, with Mercedes? And then I want to talk a little bit about the culture of the team, and this will segue into that.
I mean, he's a good looking guy. Why wouldn't he? No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, it all boils down to energy. I really truly believe in. And I really believe you have to be intentional with everything you do in this business. And it comes down to who you work for, who you work with, what brokerage you're with, you know, that shit matters, believe it or not. I mean, when you come in somewhere and you genuinely want to be there, changes the whole aspect of your whole life. Changes the whole aspect of how much work you want to do, what numbers you want to hit, who you want to call. I hate cold calling. It's the worst thing that I could ever possibly do. But at the end of the day, when I'm sitting there with Mercedes and David and Petra and Alana, you want to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, who cares? Pick up the phone. What are they going to tell you? Screw off. Don't call me again. I mean, it becomes an environment that's welcoming, and that when other people want you to produce, you start producing. I mean, very quickly. Yeah. And that's just it. I mean, he's intentional with everything he does. He gets up in the morning. David gets up in the morning. Who we call, where we door knock, what open houses we do, what clients we speak to, where I go out to dinner at night. Everything is intentional to bring people to your sphere. And that's really, really, truly the purpose. And he's knowledgeable as hell. He's one of the smartest guys I have ever met in my life. And I'm not just saying that because he's here. Really, truly, he puts the time and the work in that nobody else does, that I have truly seen. So that's why I joined.
Love it. Alana, that's well said. No, I don't want to put Alana on the spot because she's still relatively new, but you know, anything that you would add to that?
Well, yeah, I would agree with Bjorn, and also in my idea, what I like about Merced is his like vision, and also maybe because we're European, so we have like this vibe, so it's connected whatever the conversation. And where, as Bjorn said, every day we're in touch. You don't know, I'm not at the office. He calls me and we always schedule the plan, like evening, the next day, what is the plan, what are we doing all day long? And I'm here like for about 1 week. Every day we're in touch. We barely never had any free days, and I'm originally from Belarus, and I proved my extraordinary ability in modeling. So I've been traveling around the world. I was in so many countries. I lived in Milan for years, London, Paris, Shanghai, Istanbul, Hong Kong, all of these places. So as Mircea said, you should connect with all of these people. You should work on your socializing. I should connect all my friends, Russian people. That's what I did yesterday. And today I already have a buyer. Like the guy called me and said, like, listen, I heard from that guy who said you got your license, you're in team. I'm looking for this, like bam, bam, bam. So it's like you need to be like real active. If you want something, you need to have a plan, schedule, and like go for it. And of course, you should call and try to like promote your team and yourself. Even though you don't have these listings, you should say like, my team is like pretty amazing. We have so many deals. So, I mean, I just really like the whole vibe, and I think we just found everything. So I hope we're gonna be like successful. I hope.
I know, well, you are already. Yeah, yeah. And I'll throw in a couple things here. Alana, world-class athlete. She skipped that part.
Tennis.
Yeah,
professional tennis player.
yeah. So, that doesn't hurt either, by the way. The discipline and the consistency that inevitably come with that are pretty extraordinary. And then it comes back to like, right, the synergy, the energy, the accountability that comes from that. I think that's the part of the word they haven't used yet, but I'm gonna say it, is like when you're on a team or in an environment, even if it's not a team, but in an environment where you don't want to let each other down. So it uplifts everyone, right? It's the whole essence of a really high performing team in anything, right? You have a responsibility to one another such that when you don't feel like doing it, it's non-negotiable because you don't want to let down your teammates, period. Right. So that's like why my success in life, to whatever degree you want to define it, comes largely from that. Like you guys are all my team, and I have several teams within my life, and I never want to let people down. So when I don't feel like it's non-negotiable, it happens, period. And that's the essence of a great team,
Yeah, but we're not, I mean, I think I can speak for the both of us. We're not really interested in growing this team as fast and steal it as quickly as we possibly can. We really need quality additions like Bjorn and Luna who bring something to the table, who are coachable, who willing to put the work, because you can only help people who want to be helped. I can talk all day, but if you don't put in the work, if you don't put in the work, I mean, there's only so much I can do. So really, we're not really looking to scale this very quickly. We're looking to add quality people to the team. I think that's key.
Yeah, I think for Marseille, it's always been organic. It's never
Right.
been like I'm out looking for anyone else. It's the right
never.
people that have shown
Right.
up.
Right.
Right.
Right. I think it has to be that way. And then, if they're willing to trust me and, follow our, guidance, if you will, then I really have to put the work in, but they have to, if I put the work in, they have to put the work in. It's vice versa. It's a two-way street. If I'm spending my time on them, they're expected to do what they have to do, and vice versa.
Yeah.
If I'm not there for them, then, they wouldn't be on the team.
Yeah.
So if they need anything, they can always reach out to either one of us and we're there to help them. So really it is a two-way street. Yeah, it's a two-way, and it's beneficial for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
So what's the vision for your growth, Marseille? I'm putting you on the spot. Like, what does 2022 look like? And then what is 3 years from now look like?
I think we have too many buyers. we need more listings. We're very buyer heavy right now. Yeah. So I think we somehow need to transform that into more listings. There's really,
and so what
especially in this market.
What's the strategy to make that happen?
Well, now, I got to a point of my career when people I used to sell real estate, when they were buyers, now they're selling them. So that's obviously
some of that just happened.
That's more likely, happening already.
Per your listing today.
Per the listing that we got today. Yeah.
Do you want to just not that it's any, tell them the story, because I think sometimes the details help.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So we sold these guys a house last year. I think just over a year, and since then they completely remodeled it, they redid it, and in this market they're gonna walk away with about 40% return on their money that they put in, so that's fantastic. So it will be no brainer for them not to sell it. So we're listing it for them. Should be on the market early next week, hopefully. But again,
representing a
Right.
buyer, creating great service. Obviously, that's a big piece. Like,
Huge
don't, like, you know, people like all of a sudden they get a deal in escrow and then they're nowhere to be found and whatever. I hear that a lot. It's the communication all along the way and after the fact. So I know Mercedes well enough to know how extraordinary that is, and I'm sure Petra's beyond that. You know?
Right.
So I think that's, you know, good when you represent buyers and you do it well, they become sellers, right? So that's
right.
one piece.
And also
So-
staying in touch with them. I mean, we have a buyer right now. I cold called this guy more than 2 years ago on the multifamily that he owned. And we met once and he reached out to us now. I mean, we texted every now and then, every like 4 or 5 months, but now he reached out that, hey, I'm ready to buy another one. And that, I literally just cold called him 2 years ago and I just kept in touch with him. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Really. So, and look, there is no magic behind this. It really, you just sit down and you do
You
the
need to
work.
be
I mean,
human
yeah,
and
right.
as a friend.
Right.
treat people as a
You genuinely want to
friend.
help them, right?
Yeah.
Come back to like, what else? I don't want to let you off the hook on
No,
that.
I know, that's right.
Listings. How are you gonna, because this is a common theme.
It is a common,
very
it's not
common
easy.
theme.
And then,
Yeah,
it's not an easy thing to do, especially again in this market. Listings are very hard to come back, right? If you have a listing, it's pretty much a guaranteed sale. That's when it's price it right.
Yeah.
Right. It's really a start. I think it will include more cold calling on my end for sure, and leveraging deals that we have done in any neighborhood and trying to leverage that to get more listings.
Yeah.
And I'm counting on David's spirit too.
No, absolutely. No, I mean, buyers eventually turn into,
Right.
listings.
Yeah.
Because they have something to sell eventually. If you find them something else, they're upgrading, they gotta sell their downgraded house.
Yeah.
So,
prospecting though too, and of
Prospecting,
course,
right,
yep.
It has to.
Yep.
There is no, I don't think there's no way around it. You have to, that's obviously the single most important activity that the operation
And
will do.
what's the standard for, Connor, or for Alana, maybe they, for prospecting, for anyone on your team? What's the standard in terms of time, whether it's calls, whether it's contacts? Like, is there a standard for how much prospecting they should be doing?
I think they're each very different. And then I think prospecting for each of them looks very different. Like Connor is, he's more the guy who can go out and door knock and hit 100 doors and talk to people. Ilona, I think she has.
So that's 100 doors over what period of time?
2 days.
That's
good. Okay.
Yeah, how many telephone numbers do you get in 200 outlets?
So that's 50 doors a day.
Probably four.
4, okay.
And out of those serious, one.
4 out of the 100 or 4
Yeah,
out of the
yeah,
50?
that makes sense.
4 out of the 100.
Right.
I mean, it
Yeah, because.
I think the biggest thing that eye opener to me is everyone wants to tell you their successes. Everyone's like, oh, I'm a great real estate agent. I do this, and this.
Mhm.
But what they don't tell you is I door knocked 1,500 doors.
Yeah.
5 people talk to me. All their failures. And that's really the big reason why I joined them, is because look, you gotta be real in this business. And you gotta be upfront and know, okay, I don't have a cap on my doors. I'll door knock 1,000. If I get no people, do another 1,000.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's I don't door knock 100 doors.
we had a 15-year-old kid close their door on our face.
Yeah, that was kind of rough.
With his dad looking on the other side.
Right.
Oh,
So
wow.
you get all sorts of stuff out there. I mean,
Hey,
it just
I
happens.
had a lot of experience with the people. Why are you with my property? I did not see the sign, like private property.
Yeah, no
I
solution.
saw the sign, but I went anyway. So this is actually where I am. Like, oh, did you not see the sign? I'm sorry, I'm just, get away. And I was actually also, raising the boys and his arms, and then I just ran away. But I think-
Well, I mean, I think it's all about the angle you come at the owner with. At the end of the day, you don't have to say, no one knows I'm a real estate agent when I walk up, right? So if I walk the neighborhood, hey, I'm walking your neighborhood. For
I just
what?
say, hey, how are you?
Yeah, and they say, oh, I don't know, I walked by your house
You.
2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times. I think your house is super cute. Would you ever sell it? Well, to who? To me.
I mean, it's
To anyone. People put limits on what you can say. And
absolutely.
hey, as long as you bring a buyer, you bring them an offer, they get what they want, and they're satisfied, and your buyer's satisfied, it's a done deal.
I'm not complaining. I'm just like.
No.
emphasizing
Yeah,
the
no,
fact
totally.
that, I mean,
And I just think everyone You gotta be creative.
Yeah, you need to get it done and
Yeah.
more limit and you can less self-esteem you have
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And,
totally, I agree.
I mean, I've been door knocking even during like Christmas and also Halloween, especially during Halloween with the cooking and whatsoever. So people they invite me in having cooking in their house.
Yeah.
It's been actually great. I mean, but last question. So, do you have a specific time of door knocking? Like what time
Between
do you-
3 and 6. Between
3 and 6, because people they came back from home.
Yeah,
That's
like
the
what I
thing.
learned from David personally is, as we all know, the Jewish community has a certain time
Yeah.
every day
And
or every
also
week that we get
holiday,
together.
holiday
Yeah,
and days.
Yeah,
Not
so,
Saturday, not daylight.
you know, coordinate your schedule to whatever neighborhood you're going to.
Yeah.
Learn the area. Is it this predominant people? Is it, that's the truth, right? So just learn the area and figure out what works for these people, what works for this area, and then hit it hard. And then be willing to move your strict strategy, Okay, maybe 3 and 6 doesn't work. How about 4 to 8? Oh, I don't want to be out past dark. Okay, go earlier. Go, do it in the morning. I don't know, but I just think you always got to be willing to adjust. Don't set a blanket standard for
absolutely.
every.
So we are
all of
dealing
LA.
with people, so people.
Yeah.
So many.
And it's what Marseille said originally, listen, right?
Right,
Listen,
yeah.
yeah, right, yeah, yeah.
What about your food calling? What time is this time you spend is to get the result on food calling? We actually.
I'll be totally honest with you, my friend, I don't really cold call. I door knock. I mean, I door knock, but if I were to call, I don't know, maybe morning.
Morning.
Yeah, I would do morning time. That's probably you get people the most happy. They haven't had their day ruined yet. You're the first one that's called, you know what I mean? So that's what I would do, but I don't cold call really truly. I mean, I leave that to people who are good at it. I'm not very good at it, so I focus on.
Door knocking.
Yeah.
He'll break the door down.
Yeah.
Or say, what would you, with respect to cold, like any lessons in that? Because again, Connor, that's not it. And I love what Marseille said too, is, and I'm a huge proponent for anyone to spend any time around me, understand what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and go all in on that. What's great for you is not necessarily what's great for someone else, right? So Connor's thing is door knocking, doesn't mean that's necessarily Alana's thing, although it may be, right? So that's a really important point. Right? Anything you would say like on cold calling or
Cold
David
call.
or whatever, just any particular.
I think I think the traditional Keller way of doing it early first thing in the morning.
Right.
I had success calling early in the morning. I also had success calling just before dinner, like 5 to 6.
Right.
Exactly.
6:30 when they get home, but they haven't had dinner yet. I think that's also it. And during the day, it's hard to catch them because they're busy, they're working. It's difficult to catch them. So I think either early in the morning or just after work. Just after work, yeah.
Yeah. Coming back, like,
May I ask a question?
well, give me one more thing.
Okay.
Coming back to like the vision, I don't think I'll let you answer that. For like the goals, and again, I know it's evolving and I'm putting you on the spot, but that's what it's all about. For is growth. Like what does 2000 next year look like? We talked a little bit about this, but like, and then what's the vision for like 3 years in terms of just even productivity, maybe how much of it comes from you, how much comes from your team, or just what the whole team looks like? What is the broader vision for the group?
Okay, so I think when either one of them, when they first joined the team, we had a very honest conversation that this first 6 to 8 months is going to be difficult. So the first is just how it is. When you start on something new, the first 6 to 8 months, hell, maybe even 10 months is going to be really difficult. It's just the way it is. With that being said, we obviously put a lot of time and energy into them. So that may not be reflected in the first 6 to 8 months. So that's going to affect our productivity, obviously. I think if next year, and then again, we'll see how they evolve throughout time. But if between the two of us, I think we could go around $75, $80 million in transaction. That would be a reasonable number. That's stretching it a little bit, but not that much, so you can't hit it.
Right. And then basically, as I understand, like Bjorn, Connor, Alana, everything that they do is icing on the cake above and beyond that, right? So we'll see what. No pressure over there.
They have to.
Yeah. And so just to give you, like Marseille and David will like end the year probably be 40-50 million, is that?
Around there, I think
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
Hopefully a little higher, yeah.
Right.
We have some things that are cooking right now.
In the
We'll see.
pipeline.
Yeah, we'll see if that's gonna be this year or early
Right.
next year, but.
And
We'll
also
see.
add that it's a combination of residential and commercial, more residential, right? But-
70% residential.
Right, but very,
75.
very adept on the commercial front as well. I mean, I know Mercedes well
Right.
enough to know that with his
Right.
financial background. So,
Right.
So just giving you guys like a sense of, and, 2 years on his own. Yeah.
Exactly. 2 years
Yeah,
in November.
2 years
Yeah,
on his
that's
own
fine, yeah.
with that kind of business is pretty impressive. So,
But not really on his own.
Right, not really on his own.
no, I mean,
That's right.
I mean, on his own as an agent. So,
I know.
I'm gonna, Samantha, go ahead.
Okay, Merce or Connor, when you cold call, I know you don't cold call Connor, but when you cold call or when you knock on doors and you ask the people if they were aware of a house that was just listed on their block or just sold, and then where do you take the conversation from there?
I try to give them something valuable, information that's valuable to them. So obviously the next logical step from there would be how much is your home worth, right? That's where I'm trying to take them from there. That would you like to figure out how much your home is worth? And we just go from there. If they do, then we put together a little package for them, we email it to them, or hopefully we can go back in person and present it to them. The whole idea of the cold call or cold calling or door knocking is to schedule a meeting. That really is the whole point. You do, the song and the dance, I think, comes after once you have the appointment. But you really just want to set the appointment there.
All right.
Appointment, guys, per even my power session, it's all about the appointments, get the appointment, because nothing's gonna really meaningful happen until you get face to face with them. That's when the real connection and the trust gets established, right? And then per what Mercedes says, who doesn't want to know what their home is worth, and what may seem obvious to us is not so obvious to them. That's what we do for a living. A lot of people really don't have a great sense of what their home is worth. And oftentimes they would be pleasantly surprised, particularly in this kind of market. So don't lose sight of that. Great question, Samantha.
And then Josh, I have a question for you. Mercedes was talking about different financial options that people aren't aware of, bridge loans, et cetera. Is there a chance we could have a class in those different financial options?
Yeah. And Armand can hold me accountable to making that happen, because I'll forget in 3 minutes. So, yes, yep.
Bring an LL.
Yeah, and we could, bring in Ron.
I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's the best idea.
Yeah, I forgot how well you know him. But yeah.
Might
He's a
scare
lender,
us
he's a
off.
lender, he's a sharp dude. Yep. We'll do that, Samantha. It's a great idea. Yep. Other questions?
I was just gonna say, Merce and David, they have a big heart. And that heart comes out to their clients. So 2/3 of the people do business with the agent if they trust them and there's a rapport. It's not always because you're the top agent. So even if you're green and new and you can build that rapport, they're gonna go with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean,
Big time.
I have a lot of good connections with my clients and they trust me. So, most of them are my own sphere, so.
I know it sounds like such a great, no one cares what you know till they know that you care. And it's 100%
Yeah,
truth.
that's true.
Like you could be the smartest, most knowledgeable person. If people don't trust you and feel like you give a damn about them, they don't care. And again, I look at a lot of the top producers, and I look at guys sitting right there because I'm looking at him. I know his heart, his authenticity, and that's a big part of it. And then add on top of the fact that these guys are all very bright and competent. That's like icing on the cake, So well said, Robert. Agreed. Guy.
Do you do research on the neighborhoods
Yeah.
What they bought the house for? Average median home price. I don't mean like neighborhood, specifically the homes that you're knocking on. So
Oh, the homes that we knock?
yes, you have like a story to tell when you're introducing.
No, not necessarily. I mean, you guys.
Well, unless we're knocking a specific home for a particular buyer,
Yeah.
for instance, like we had a buyer that wanted Beverlywood, for instance, and they wanted a Cape Cod home, so we knocked all the homes over Cape Cod.
Oh, nice. Still looking, by the way, so if anybody has a case.
What I will tell you, Guy, and I know how you think, and it's very similar in that way, to very strategic and thoughtful about being prepared and being knowledgeable. I know how Mercedes operates. It's very purposeful.
Because sometimes I get like a title report. Or
Right.
Yep. If someone moved in a month ago, maybe they'll skip that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Or if they bought in 2009 when the market was worst, I have something to talk to them about.
Yeah.
Right.
Go with a little background.
That's smart.
So you have it on your phone before you, what do you do? You download to your
Yeah,
phone?
I have the sheet.
And then before you knock the house, you just look at it?
Yeah.
You can have it on your
That's
phone.
nice.
Let's get more.
Guys.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Really sharp.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll all be here.
Yeah.
And while I'm saying something, I've known Mercedes
Yeah.
for many, many years now, and because you put your time in with Charles, and because of the guy he is, an engineer, you know, very methodical. I know that you processed that and you emulated that because it worked, but you put your own spin on it. And I knew from the minute I met you, which was, I don't know how many years ago. It's a long-
8 years ago.
2014.
Yeah, 8 years ago, yeah.
Right, so I've known this guy
Yeah.
since the baby in the business, but I knew eventually you'd break free, and I knew eventually that you would be a superstar on your own. And I knew for certain that you would take it, what you learned, you did your time with him, and you would make it your own. And here you are.
Thank you, I
now.
appreciate it, but I can't emphasize it enough, that was very, very important.
Yeah.
That really
yeah.
was, that was
And
very
when I see
important.
a newer person in the business, I try to steer them to a team so they can learn and grow, because I've seen too many of them start and flame out very quickly.
Right, but if you have no guidance, it's very easy to do. Yeah, it really is.
Because you're not accountable, you know, nobody
Right.
wants to be the slacker on the team,
Right.
nobody wants to not
Yeah.
pull their weight. So if you're just on your own, no offense to you guys that are on your own, but you wake up late, you don't feel like doing it, it's like what Robert said, you just kind of, things just kind of slip, and then you wonder why you're not doing it.
There's no accountability.
Yeah. All right, in the interest of time, sorry, I'm gonna have to, like, you guys are awesome. Thank you very, very much. Let's get a quick maybe picture with the whole team.
Yeah.
Where's a good spot to do it? Let's just do it right here.
Should be AT&T raises the bar.
Where do you want to put it? Where do you want to stand up? Where do you want this? Right here. Right. I'll get a man. Good.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks, sir. Yeah. You're great. Yeah. What's that? Oh, yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Can you take this? And I need to get this.
Thank you, sir.
I'll see you in the morning.